Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I think we are live. I'm checking to make sure that we are live. And one of the first things, if you are on live with me, let me know that you're hearing me and you're seeing me. We are supposed to be live on Facebook and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter. Those four platforms we are live on live. So I see that we are live on Facebook, and I'm seeing that we are also live on LinkedIn. So I think that we are live. We are good. So I want to start by saying I'm a few minutes late, so I apologize. Just trying to get all the tech and everything together. I want to say, of course, good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are joining us from. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Jessica, that you could hear me and see me across the multiple platforms here. We have an interesting topic today, which is talking about how you go about launching your personal brand on LinkedIn, right? And why LinkedIn is such a critical and important platform, depending on what it is you want to do for your personal brand, right? So, one of the first things I want to say is that can persons tell me where they are joining us from, right? I love to know where persons are from. I know I have somebody from Trinidad and I know I have somebody from Bermuda. So I'm glad to have you guys on. And we have an interesting chat, really, really interesting chat here today. So, one of the first things I want to start with, right? Let me just move across. As we're talking here about how to begin to launch your personal brand on LinkedIn, giving you a little bit of backdrop, right, on why I decided to do this. Um, Lots of persons go onto my LinkedIn profile. They tell me, "Hey, Debbie, I see you have a lot of followers," or I hear, Debbie, you have a lot of followers. Hey, you have a lot of persons who engage on your posts. How did you do it, right? I came out of, hi, Gail. Gail, all right. So we have a next person from Trinidad. Wonderful. So I grew my platform, traditionally. I actually came on LinkedIn, not too sure the exact year, but many years ago. It could have been around 2009 or 2010. But I didn't really start building my platform until, or building and utilizing the platform. I have Joy from Philadelphia. Nice. I didn't start building on the platform until 2016. And 2016 and 17, the only thing I did was put out blogs, right? I really love to write. And so I put out a lot of blogs then, right? 2018, 19, I start doing more on the platform for my business, and I start getting a lot of visibility and starting to land clients and starting to do a little more work regionally as well. Of course, the pandemic hit, and LinkedIn source, especially in the Caribbean, really, exponential growth. Lots of persons got onto the platform, and it really, really worked excellent for me. Right? I really, LinkedIn is a very unique space. It's not like other social media platforms. Persons don't consume the content in the same way that they do on the other platforms. And so, and you build your authority and you build your network here, unlike other platforms as well. So it really is an interesting and a unique one. And coming out of my last social media workshop, I got questions again, or I got comments along the line that, Debbie, I post on LinkedIn and I don't really get I don't really get responses, or I don't get the response that I'm looking for, right? And chances are, if I go to look at your profile, I can audit and identify 6 to 8 things immediately that you need to do to be able to get your business, your brand, your personal brand, your content much more visible on this platform. So that's the genesis and the background of why I decided to do this live here. I'm saying hi again to Sheldon and Andrea, right? We have persons from all around, right? Jamaica, Bahamas. So thank you so much for joining me live. So again, just to kind of give a background, I have St. Vincent. Really nice. Okay, wonderful. Just to give a little backdrop, today is all about how do you begin to launch and utilize LinkedIn for your personal brand. Now, what you'll find very interesting, at least with the first three slides, I have identified things that you actually need to do before you even get on the platform, right? So you're going to say there will be really, but you have to do a few things before you even jump on LinkedIn or any platform, as a matter of fact, right? And one of the things you have to do, and these are 3 areas, kind of 3 questions, 3 spaces I need you to really look at and define, which is, what is your personal brand, or what do you want your personal brand to be, right? One of the first things you have to do is really ask yourself, what are your goals? What do you want to have happen when you get on LinkedIn? Do you want to build your brand presence, your awareness? Do you want to be an authority in your space? Let's say you're HR practitioner. There are lots of HR practitioners on LinkedIn. Many doing very, very well. Do you want to position yourself as an authority in that space? Do you want to be seen as an industry leader? Right? There are lots of marketers like myself. There are lots of sales professionals, sales trainers there. So what do you want to achieve when you get onto the platform? And it has to be really tangible. Is it to build awareness? Is it to begin to position your brand? Is it to build your authority? Is it to sell? Do you have specific products and services that you want to sell? You have to really, really be clear on what your goals are and why. Because at the end of the day, this is perhaps one of the reasons why I see the issue. Persons don't have defined goals. They jump on the platform, they may put out content in an ad hoc way for a year. And then at the end of the year, or even a shorter space of time, at the end of 6 months, they say, this platform is crap. And I'm using the best words. This platform is crap and it doesn't work and it doesn't make sense, right? But the truth is, you must have clarity in the beginning in order to be able to measure and say, okay, what do I need to do in terms of a strategy, right? So that's one of the questions I think you need to ask before you even get onto the platform. The second thing you need to do is define your USP. The USP is a term that has been used in sales and marketing for a long time. It's kind of evolving. It's really called a unique selling position. But really, what it is, it kind of defines your value, right? And when I say your value, I really mean your personal brand value. What do you bring to the table? What do you offer your target audience, your clients, and so on? What helps you to distinguish yourself from everybody else out there? So that takes a little time to define, and sometimes it's difficult to define on our own. Sometimes we need a little coach, somebody to kind of bounce it off of, to really be clear in terms of what value do we bring, right? And the third thing with all personal brands is that they convey a story. Why? Because, and when I say a story, sometimes persons get confused. Um, But when I talk about conveying a story, marketing now is about that connection, and building a personal brand is about connecting with your audience. So you must have a personal brand story. What does your story communicate, right? So I won't stay too long on that because we do have two more slides that will kind of talk about your story and how you can begin to define your story, right? So the second area I think you need to think about again before you even get online or get onto the platform is understanding your target audience, which again I've seen as issues for persons, right? Or businesses or brands. A lot of entrepreneurs might say and have said to me, well, I sell to a lot of different type of people, or in some instances they am saying, well, I sell to everybody, right? No, you have to, if you are able to really define your value, you will be able to identify a specific target group of customers who will want to purchase from you, right? So I tell a lot of entrepreneurs as well that your target audience, quite simply, will be the people who become a part of your community and tribe, who will support you. And in many instances, your target audience is also those persons who are going to purchase the product or service that you sell. So that is also key. And here's why it's key to actually define this, because it sets up the whole communication process as you go forward in building your brand. Because as you begin to put out content, and this is why sometimes persons' content they find don't fit or land, or it doesn't get the response that they want, it is because you haven't defined who you are actually speaking to, and who are the persons that you want to actually convert, who are the persons that you want to attract. You haven't really defined that. So when you put out content, it's not speaking to anybody specifically, and hence the reason why you have there is difficulty in getting persons to really convert, right? So that's another step that's important. um when you decide, hey, it's 2023. I'm ready to launch my business. I'm ready to launch my personal brand. I hear great stuff about LinkedIn. I want to get onto this platform. You really need to define, you know, who are these people that are going to be a part of my community, who are going to be my customers, who are going to support my business and my brand. And that has to be really, really clear to you, right? Good. So the next thing is developing your story, right? So I want to say hi again. We interacting. So thanks, Jared. I'm seeing Joanne on. I'm seeing Dawn. So a mix of LinkedIn and Facebook persons, right? So thank you for joining me, and of course, feel free to drop in your questions. The third thing, this part of developing your story, right? And I talk a lot with entrepreneurs who might be a little technical. I did a post recently about a project manager that I was working with, and her, her she was very apprehensive, or she is warming up to the idea of building her brand on LinkedIn, right? But the idea of sharing a story is not clear in her mind, right? And sometimes when we hear sharing a story and a personal brand story, we feel that it might be sharing too much of who we are individually in a private room and private space, right? And it's not necessarily that, right? Your personal brand story must share two things, or must cover two things, basically. It must be able to convey what it is you do, what is the solution that you provide to your audience, to your potential clients, and so on. But it also is a sort of a statement of who you are, right? So I put up mine here. So the easier part to do here is actually to say, okay, well, what it is, what do you do? And I always take it from a solutions perspective, right? Because clients now are looking for how you can help them. How can you help to transform their business? How can you help them to increase their revenue? How can you help them to become more visible? They want certain solutions for challenges that exist in their business. So marketing needs to be reflective of that. So what I do is really help organizations with that top line goal, that revenue goal. That has been my background professionally. And I help them design and implement specific sales and marketing strategies to help them achieve that target, that goal. So that is what I do, right? And that's my solution, and that's part of my personal brand. So my content is reflective of that, right? The other side of my personal brand are those aspects of your story that you really share that help you to really connect with your audience, right? And it could be a range of things, right? For me, I use that stammering communicator line. It is always, I get a lot of persons who come into the inbox and come into the messages and ask me, the stammering communicator, what is that, right? And of course, I am able to connect with a lot of persons who may have had similar challenges like me. And I simply say that, hey, this is something that I have used as a catalyst to help me overcome specific things. And people don't naturally think of a person that stutters as a person that is a communicator, a person in marketing or advertising or public speaking, because the two don't go together. So I use it as a tagline, and I use it as my way to really connect with my audience, right? But you could connect in a number of what I call softer ways, right? You connect with your personality. You might be relatable, and that's why people like you. You might be a person that has a lot of empathy, and that's why persons connect with your brand. Jared is here, so persons also connect with you specific things. Sometimes your branding and your color scheme, right? So Jared uses a lot of yellow, so persons associate that with him, right? Persons have particular expressions, just like how Nike has just do it, right? Certain personal brands also use specific taglines and so on that help to kind of define who they are, right? Now, this is an area that you might know off the bat. What's my brand, and how can I distinguish myself? And this is also something, again, that a coach or a marketer could help you to really define, right? I think of Marie Folio, who says, everything is figure outable. And that becomes a tagline for her, right? A lot of persons use it as well, but they kind of know the genesis of it, right? The genesis is that's a line that she really has used and saying, listen, in entrepreneurship, you'll be able to figure things out. So you kind of be surrender to the process a little bit, and you'll be able to figure it out. So those areas are really things that I feel individuals need to clearly define in their mind. You have to define your goals. You have to define, thanks, Renee. You have to define your goals. You have to define what is your value. You have to be clear on your target audience, and you have to begin to kind of define your story and what that is supposed to look like, all those things before you actually jump on the platform, right? Now we're gonna get to the exciting part, right? Because you're gonna say, Debbie, okay, what next? What do I need to do, right? So I want to highlight two things that I think if you don't change anything else on your LinkedIn profile and platform, if you do these two things, you're going to make a significant change in your branding and how your content is really received on this platform. And it's things that, and it's the two areas to me that I see persons have the biggest difficulty with, right? So one of the first things, lots of persons are here on LinkedIn and their profile is not optimized. And LinkedIn will tell you if your profile is not optimized, right? And by optimize, we really mean filling out that profile. Sometimes people have their photo up, but that banner in the background is still gray, right? So that's not an optimized profile. And I have some of the things here. You should have your banner, you should have a banner up, a banner that is descriptive and kind of a synopsis of who your brand or what your brand is all about. You are supposed to really begin to fill out all the other elements on your profile as well. So you have a headline that is supposed to be able to attract persons. It is supposed to be able to say what it is you do. How do you help other entrepreneurs? How do you help other companies and businesses? How do you move them from one space to the next, right? So that is supposed to be there. The other things include stuff like your about section. It's supposed to be clear and filled out. Experience. You have recommendations. You have your a profile. The profile has a number of elements that have to be filled out in order for that profile to be optimized, right? And if you are not optimized, persons don't know, your level of visibility on the platform is limited, and the ability to search and look for potential clients and to do particular things is also limited. So it is very important that if you decide, hey, I want to launch my personal brand here on this wonderful platform of LinkedIn, then one of the first things you have to do is make sure that that profile is completed and optimized so that you can, keep going and get going, right? So that's one. Two, so we're coming down to the end. So if anybody has questions, feel free to ask the questions. I just highlighting two things that people need to do on this platform to help them successfully launch and grow their personal brands. So the first thing, optimizing a platform. I go to lots of platforms and it's not optimized, and persons are sometimes unaware of what that really means and what that is. And they are also unaware that it is actually restricting them, right? Restricting them from really having the best experience on that platform. The second thing is creating content consistently. And I want to touch on video particularly because it is the space where persons are most apprehensive, right? And I get it, right? I get it. Again, as a person that stutters, it's not easy to come on live. It's not easy to always record. As a woman, you feel you have to be totally made up. So there are lots of, limiting beliefs and things that we get into our heads and we say, listen, I can't do it. If you want to grow on LinkedIn and you want to grow on many of your social media platforms by default, you have to consider how you are going to integrate video. And you can take baby steps, there are different ways in which you could start to wet your foot and kind of, begin to do it. And then, you graduate and you get to a point where it's easy, right? Because as I tell persons, it is like riding a bike, right? The more you do it, the easier it gets, the less mistakes, the less you become so caught up in what it is you look like and how you sound and whether it works or not. You get less and less inside of your head, and so you sabotage yourself a whole lot less once you practice it. But video content, unlike any of the other forms, and again, I am a huge advocate for the other forms of content because I think it helps to build your brand out in a much more holistic way, and it shows your audience, hey, that I could find more information from this particular brand in terms of blogs or articles, um, a magazine. I have a magazine, and you could put out various types of content, right? And so I'm an advocate for doing a broad spectrum. But I know that when a lot of persons tell me, Debbie, I am not, it's not translating for me, right? I am on the platform for a while, and I do find I get the feedback I want most times, right? More than 80% of the time, they are not doing video, right? And video content, in the absence of meeting somebody face to face, going to a company's office and meeting the players and discussing, or going to a networking event, video is the only thing that will really be able to help you to connect with your community. Persons see you, your personality, your business, your brand, and that is how they connect. And I've told persons before in lots of different settings that that became a game changer for me, right? Because again, I was in my head and I said, nah, I don't want to do on that, and I don't think it's necessary. And I stayed away from it for a very long time, putting out all types of content, right? Email marketing, blogs, anything you could think of, I did except this. And the minute I did, and I started to use video, I saw a big shift. I saw more engagement. I saw more persons reaching out, and it is a game changer, right? There's no doubt about it. It is a game changer. So yes, I'm an advocate for the other forms of content and building a brand around that. But if you are not utilizing video to really connect with your audience, then you are most definitely putting yourself at a deficit, and you're not going to be able to connect with your with others the way that you would want to. So it's something you have to think about even as you begin to launch. How am I going to be able to incorporate video into my personal brand strategy? Because it really does help you to connect with your audience, right? So with that said, I've kind of come to the end. Let me just talk about my program that I'm running for April. So I'm running a program here on helping persons, of course, launch their personal brand on LinkedIn. It covers a lot of the things that we will kind of go through, which is, how do you begin to define your brand, looking at your target audience, helping you to kind of define that story, optimizing the profile, because that is important, creating content consistently, which is a challenge for a lot of not just entrepreneurs, but business owners, right? Because maybe they don't see the inherent value in putting out content in a consistent way. I always draw on the example of the Coca-Cola brand, because that brand has been around for 100 plus years, right? I think the brand was somewhere, it was first introduced in 18 something, right? Like 1896 or something like that. But Coca-Cola continues to advertise. Why? Not because we don't know Coca-Cola. It is one of the most recognizable brands around the world. But they advertise, and they do different types of sponsorship and so on, because they want to remind and reinforce. Remind us that they are there, reinforce their brand. Content is the same way. You want to be able to remind your audience that you are here, remind them of the solutions that you provide, reinforce your messaging. So creating content consistently is absolutely critical and important. And of course, we also, LinkedIn, there is a misconception that you're just creating content here. It is a networking platform. So there are opportunities to network, there are opportunities to generate leads, there are opportunities to social sell, there's opportunities to build your authority here, which doesn't only mean you're posting content out on the platform, right? It means a number of things. So with that, I say thank you to everyone who came on. I will pause just for like a 20 seconds to see if anyone has any questions. I thank you so much for joining me, everybody from all over the Caribbean, all over the world. We had somebody from Philadelphia on here, and Bahamas, and Jamaica, and from St. Vincent and Grenada. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate everybody that came on to this live. And of course, feel free, to reach out to me anytime. Have a great day, guys. You all take care. Bye bye.